This is Glenn Hughes, the voice of rock, and you're listening to Music Mania.
You ready for some screaming heavy metal? We rock! But the evil that men do, then John, we gonna bang your head!
You are now listening to the Music Mania podcast, brought to you by CD Warehouse in Gladstone, the #1 hard rock podcast in the Midwest, featuring hard-hitting interviews with rock's living legends. And now, here's your host, Clint Switzer.
Welcome, all cool kids, to the Music Mania podcast. We are going to blow your fuse with an infusion of Brian Forsythe from Kix, who's going to be joining us to talk about the band that I just saw live last weekend at the Choctaw Casino in Durant, Oklahoma with Vixen. What a great time that was. I'm going to be talking about that show, about my love for the band Kix. And we're going to be talking with Brian about the band, about the possibility of a new album, about the tour they're currently on, about playing the M3 Festival in their hometown of Baltimore, Maryland. But I'll tell you what a time it was down there in Durant, Oklahoma. Went down for the show, got to hang out a little bit beforehand. What an unbelievable venue. If you've never been down to the Choctaw, it is state-of-the-art. The venue is basically, it's a state-of-the-art theater setup with not a single bad seat in the house. Huge thanks to Kix for hooking us up for that show. And got down there early, hung out, got to watch some basketball in the casino, got to hang out in the casino a little bit, which is always packed. That place is just unbelievable. It's like one of the biggest non-Vegas casinos in the country, and Kix and Vixen did not disappoint. Vixen, who was without their singer, Janet Gardner, had just had brain surgery a couple months ago. She was not back in time, cleared to play this show, so they had Lorraine Lewis from Femme Fatale filling on vocals. She did a fantastic job, and I'm a huge fan of those ladies. Vixen did a great job. With a limited set, they had to probably cut off a few songs, due to not having their singer available. But Kix rocked the house. They rocked people's faces off, just like I always heard they would. It was great to be a part of it. My first time seeing Kix, it was a great time. We've had Brian Forsythe on our show. It's been about a year and a half, but finally it came home to roost, and I was able to go down and see the band, and you can see my review of the show on our website, musicmaniapodcast.com. Of course, we always appreciate the follows on Twitter, on Facebook, musicmania_show on Twitter, and as always, be sure to press that subscribe button on YouTube and iTunes. Well, I guess it's Apple Podcasts now. They have sort of differentiated the iTunes with Apple Podcasts. So Apple Podcasts is where you can get our show for free every single week, and it's always a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Again, I can't reiterate what a great live set from Kix, and I tell you what, they have several shows coming up this summer, including March 24th. They're going to be in Hummel's Wharf, Pennsylvania, Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, April 6th, April 7th at the Space Westbury in Westbury, New York. Of course, the M3 Festival in early May, which is always, something to behold. What a festival that is. And so go to Kixband.com to check out all of Kix's dates and be sure to catch them out on the road. You will not be disappointed. What a high-octane, high-energy show it is. It's a midnight dynamite. Cliched as that may sound, Kix, their tongue-in-cheek lyrics live up to their name. When it comes to the live set, no doubt about it. And I can't give high enough praise for that band and for Brian Forsythe and his, the guitar tandem of he and Ronnie Eukins is phenomenal. Love seeing them live. Love the sound, love the crunch. Steve Whiteman, one of the best frontmen, one of the most criminally underrated bands, certainly to come from the 80s, are Kix, indeed. And we are going to get to that interview with Brian Forsythe, but first we got to talk about our sponsor here on the Music Mania podcast. It is CD Warehouse in Gladstone, Missouri. For over 22 years, a staple of the Northland. I know I've bought 95% of the music that I still own from CD Warehouse. Hit up Randy Ringer, the owner. Tell him Music Mania podcast sent you. That's CD Warehouse in Gladstone, Missouri, a staple of the Northland. How is everything going, my man?
Good.
That is excellent to hear. I tell you, it's more than that, because you may not realize this, my friend, but I was just in attendance on Saturday at the Choctaw Casino, and I saw you guys play. What a show that was! It had to be a memorable show for you guys. That was a cool show, wasn't it?
Oh, it's definitely a nice venue.
The venue was awesome. I've never been down there before. It was a great venue, and I mean, I doubt you guys have ever played a show with Vixen before either. That was kind of different.
Actually, we have. We've done several shows with them over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I know they've done some of the, been on some of the same festivals and M3s and stuff like that, and they're always a great time. And I tell you, that was a great show. And I know I think you guys had some travel issues too. It was kind of hard for you guys to fly in.
Yeah, well, there were some East Coast weather issues, and for some reason there's this big windstorm came around like the day before, and our flight was like at 7:30 p.m. and we weren't sure what was going to happen, so we ended up having we switched the flight to the next day, the day of the show. But it turned out that our flight was okay after all, but we didn't want to take that chance and get to the end of the day and find out, we had to rebook a flight, because then, that could have been a disaster.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with that. I mean, does that affect you at all? When you fly in, it's kind of the day of the show, it's some jet lag. I mean, does it affect it at all? Or is it just kind of like, hey, we're here, it's go time?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really that much jet lag involved. It's only a couple hours, but time difference. But yeah, just having to travel on the day of the show, it is a little wearing, And we flew into Dallas, so it was like an hour and a half drive up from there with the traffic and all. So we didn't get there, as early as we had planned. When you fly in the night before, it's a nice relaxed. You get there, you go to sleep, you wake up, and you're not running around like crazy.
Absolutely, and it was an awesome show. It was just something, that it was a really cool weekend, because they had, I think, Great White and Slaughter the night before, and then you and Vixen. Awesome show from Kix as always. And I mean, I think that what I always forget when I see Styx, I don't know why I forget, or when I see Kix, it's unbelievable to me when you watch Steve Whiteman. When you just watch that guy perform, the way he moves, the way he commands an audience. I don't know that there's anyone like him. He's got to be one of the more criminally underrated frontmen of all time. What do you think about your frontman, Steve, there?
Oh, yeah, I think he's great. The funny thing is, he always thinks, he always overthinks it, though. I mean, he's always worried he's going to, not be able to pull it off and this and that. And he never, you can't tell once he gets out there. He's just such a natural at that.
That's a good way to put it.
I feel we're really lucky to have him as a frontman. I mean, that, not many bands can pull that off,
Here's a question. Does Steve more often than not make you laugh on stage, or do you sit there and go, oh my gosh, not this corny joke again? I mean, or does he have you guys busting up back there?
No, he does. He cracks me up all the time. In fact, he's really spontaneous. I mean, he'll throw in a couple usual things, but he'll throw things like off the top of his head that I've never heard before, and it'll just like strike me.
It does. He's hilarious and just an awesome front man, and the band was in high form. And I think I know Steve had been doing some instructional work with the Maryland Institute of Music, and I think I heard that you have also joined and are doing some guitar lessons and some things for the Maryland Institute of Music. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, the guy Rick that runs the place. He had talked Jimmy into doing drum lessons there, and then got Steve to do his vocal thing there. So he asked me about guitar, and I live in LA. But I said, well, maybe when I'm in town, I could, come by there and when I have a few days off or something. So I've actually scheduled it. It's worked out to basically once a month. I'll come in for a local show, and then I'll just stick around like the week after, and I'll teach a couple days. And it's really worked out well, because it's kind of like, I'm not like one of the regular instructors, like a weekly thing. It's more like a special event, kind of once a month thing. And it makes it a little bit more special. But it's weird because, going into it, I was a little leery about it, because I'm not real comfortable teaching guitar. And I'm still not. Even now, I kind of dread it every time it comes up. But but after the fact, I always feel great about it, and I'm always glad that I did it.
It's interesting you say that, because they, when you talk about great guitarists and in a high magnitude band like Kix that you've been in, and a band like Rhino Bucket, and you've been around and you've done this. Some people say though that is very difficult. That for them it just came natural and they started playing, and that it's hard to try to relate it to people to try to teach them. And that, I've heard that a lot. I mean, that kind of sounds like the case. I mean, I imagine that it is difficult to try to relate that, because especially because you're such a good player, it's kind of hard to relate that to people. It has to be difficult.
Yeah, it is. I think, to be a really good teacher, you almost have to have that quality too. And I can show people stuff, but here's I think the problem with me is, I'm completely self-taught by ear. I don't read music, and so I'll get a student in there, and I don't know how to write this stuff down for them. So luckily, in this day and age, if they have an iPhone or something, or I'll say, well, you want to just record this real quick? I'll show you the thing, and I'll play it in slow motion for you, and that really helps, because then they can take that little video home and refresh their memory. But so I think that's, with me, it's almost like because I'm self-taught, I have like these self-doubts at the same time. Even though I know how to play, but I still in my subconscious feel like I'm faking it, because I don't feel like I've actually I don't know how to put it. I don't feel like a musical scholar or something.
Well, that's what's so interesting though about music and about the guitar. And I love all styles of play. I love players that are very technical, like Eddie Van Halen. I love guys that just play so much off feel, like Ace Frehley. I love his style, but yet Ace can't write music or read music or anything like that. So I think it's interesting that there's so many dynamics and so many ways to come about the instrument. That's what's great about the guitar in general. But I tell you, Brian, you've got, of course, as Kix has been doing for the past several years, you've got a bunch of dates all over the country coming up this summer again. I think you guys are going to be in Hummelesworth, Pennsylvania, coming up in just a couple weeks, and you're going to be I think you got to stop at the M3 Festival, of course. That's become a mainstay for you guys. That's just got to be such a cool thing, especially because you guys are, a Maryland band, played so much in that area coming up. But, the M3 Festival is always big, and it's always kind of a homecoming show for you guys.
Oh, yeah. That M3, it's like, I know, it's funny, because it's great every year, and the crowd is just there for us every year, and we keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. we keep thinking, how long can this last? But we're just gonna. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. We're just riding it out because it's going strong. So we're not going to stop. We're just going to keep going, and of course, we have to do M3 because that's our hometown crowd there.
It is, and it's always a great. And that's what's cool about Kix is I feel like, for whatever reason, that for a lot of your career, you were kind of relegated to that part of the country, but now Kix has become almost more of a national band since you guys kind of started playing again together in the last 13, 14 years than it was in the heyday in the 80s. I mean, that's really a testament to for one, just that style of music, because there is still an appetite for it, and two, for your guys' live show, which has always been renowned. And here you guys are all over the country, these fly-in dates. It's so, and that's just got to be a really cool feeling for you guys.
Yeah, it is. We did a lot of touring back in the old days, but I think because there wasn't any internet or any of that, so really the only people that got to experience us were the ones that actually showed up, and nowadays people show up and they film it and post it on Facebook, and other people see it, and then they get curious, and then they come out, and so more times than often I'll talk to somebody at one of these shows, and they'll go, I heard of you guys back in the day, but I never got to see you. And so many people, it's like, wow, this is the first time I finally got to see you guys after 25 years or something. And so it's really cool. I think a lot of those factors sort of it along. The internet and the ability to just put up video on YouTube, so like millions of people can see it, or have the opportunity to see it.
That is exactly true, and you see that a lot because Kix has one of the more active and vocal Facebook groups of any band I've ever seen. I mean, I am in every single one of them, talking music with people all the time. Kix's group is loyal to a T. I mean, you don't go very long without seeing someone posting a video or a picture of you guys from a show, and I think that's a huge part of the national branding, of this band. But I got something that's going to blow your mind here. You might be aware of this, you might not. We just yesterday was the 35th anniversary of the release of Cool Kids. I mean, not to date anyone here, but that's quite an accomplishment there. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw it's actually somebody. I have a filter on my personal timeline on Facebook, so I always get to, I have to approve all the timeline posts, and somebody posted that, or there was an add to my timeline little thing in my on my Facebook page. So I did see that. Yeah, it's hard to believe that much time has gone by.
It is, but it's rewarding too. It's like, if you get to the point as a band where you're having anniversaries like this, and you can go out and say, oh, it's the 30th anniversary of this, the 35th anniversary of Cool Kids, and and on and on. That means you've done something, you've accomplished something, and you've stayed around. That's a good thing.
Yes, definitely. Well, this year, 2018 is what is it? 88 was when Blow My Fuse came out.
Yes.
So is it 88, 89? Yep.
So 30 years on that one.
Yeah. So,
yeah, we'll be coming up on that. Yeah, that's insane, man. I'll tell you what, time is but a strange mistress, as Nigel from Spinal Tap would say. But it's I wanted to ask you about this because we saw, and unfortunately here in the last couple weeks we saw, Glenn Tipton from Judas Priest having to step down because of his issues with Parkinson's, and it got me thinking about guitar tandems and how he and KK Downing were such just an indelible force as far as a guitar tandem goes. But you and Ronnie, I mean, just talk about what that's been like, because I think that it's a very underrated tandem of you two. You complement each other well. I don't know if there's quite anything like it. It packs a lot of punch. It's a very crunchy sound that you guys have. Just talk about the guitar tandem and working and playing with a guy like Ronnie Younkins.
Oh well, yeah. We obviously fit together well. It's almost like the Keith Richards, Ron Wood kind of combination, because we have different styles, but they work together so well. And it always has. Like when it comes to time to record like a record or something, Ronnie and I always, each song, we kind of know whose style will fit it better, and we'll discuss it. As like if I'm struggling with a solo or something, I'll go, hey Ronnie, you want to try that solo? I'm just not quite feeling it, and then he'll try it, and then it'll click for him. So that kind of thing is really cool with him, because it's just really cool, because I'm like my mind is going blank all of a sudden. I guess I'm getting old.
Well, that goes for all of us. No, you got, you guys just compliment each other well.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's just that our styles, it just works. Like what's missing out of my style is in his style, and what's missing out of his style is in my style, and so his style will fill in the gaps where mine's lacking, and vice versa. And it just So it's like a puzzle piece. It
certainly does. And I'll tell you what, it's been, it's 2014. You guys released "Rock Your Face Off," an album that you guys still play songs off from in the live set today. It was a very good album from you guys. And it's 2014. It's hard to believe now that's been 4 years. We're going to start doing more anniversaries, I guess. So do you guys want? Is it important for you guys to continue to release new music? Is that something that you want to do or are planning on doing?
Well, we kind of held off a long time before we released that last one, or recorded that last one. When we first got back together at the end of 2003, we didn't know how this was going to go, and we were just doing it for fun. We thought, well, let's just do a few shows and see how it goes. it was such a success, we continued, and then the new record thing would pop up here and there. People would ask us, we'd get that question, and we were just having so much fun just riding it out, just playing the old stuff. We didn't really want to think about it. The question keeps coming up, are you guys going to do another one? And of course the answer is maybe. I mean, we never say no, but I don't know when it's going to happen because we're really busy playing, and we don't have a whole lot of downtime. I mean, this year we had a little bit at the beginning of the year, but I kind of took off with Rhino Bucket and went to Europe, so that it's hard to find the time to work on it. But who knows? Eventually, we might find a spot and put something together again.
Absolutely. I tell you what, Brian, always a pleasure to have you on. It was just so good to see you guys live just last weekend at the Choctaw Casino in Durant, Oklahoma. So glad I made the trip for that. You guys were excellent as always, man. Tell you what, the website, brianforsythe.com, that's where you can get all the info on Rhino Bucket, on Kicks, everything that you've got going on, my friend. If you want, you can even ask Brian a question on the contact form. Do it. He will answer it personally. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, I actually will.
Oh, awesome. Well, good. I didn't want to just throw that out there, but hey, Brian, hey, always a pleasure, my friend. Let's keep in touch, and best of luck going forward. We'll certainly see you out there again. I'd say pretty soon, sometime out there this summer, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right. Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks a lot, man. Talk soon. All right, a huge thanks to Brian Forsythe for joining us for the second time here on the podcast. Love catching up with him. What a sweet, nice guy. Just a very down-to-earth guy and a very good guitar player. And very interesting talking about him playing with the Maryland Institute of Music or giving instructions through that medium. He's a really good player. He and Ronnie Yunkins is a tremendous tandem. We talked a little bit about Glenn Tipton and KK Downing from Judas Priest, who are sadly neither one in the band anymore. So I think that hurts Priest incrementally. I mean, I think that hurts Priest quite a bit. They're a band that double guitar sound was such a huge part of it, and I think Richie Faulkner does a great job filling in for KK Downing, but when you lose Glenn Tipton out of the mix, man, it's a tough proposition, no doubt about that. But kicksband.com, be sure to check them out. Check out all their tour dates coming up, all the news. Keep up with them. I tell you what, I would highly recommend joining the Kicks group on Facebook. What an active bunch they are. They are loyal to a T. It is great to see them always posting pictures and videos and news and information. That's a great follow as well. So we want to thank you guys for joining us. We have a bunch of big shows coming up, guys. It is concert season. My month of March is utterly insane, and I don't mind it because you know what? The weather's getting warmer. Winter's over. We're going to be heading out on the road, checking out some shows. This last weekend in Durant, Oklahoma was just the beginning. I've got Styx and REO Speedwagon coming up. I've got Michael's Schenkerfest coming up in Vegas, and I've got Brett Michaels, Lita Ford, Warrant, Dawkin, and Firehouse and Council Bluffs. That's all just in the next couple weeks, and then things will really get off and running. So I hope everybody's getting ready to get out and enjoy some shows, enjoy some of this weather, enjoy some good rock and roll. That's what it's all about, and it's all about hearing the stories of the band members right here on the podcast. Cannot thank you enough for joining us. We'll catch you next week